We continue with the broadcast this morning and taking a look now at the impact of load shedding on water supply. Now, it's clear that the power crisis in South Africa is triggering a water cuts in many areas around South Africa, and also looking at Johannesburg in particular, South Africa's economic hub. And this is absolutely important because water levels have actually now dropped to critically low levels. To unpack this, we're joined by water and climate justice activist Dr. Ferrial Adam. Dr. Ferrial, assalamu alaikum, and welcome to the show.
Walaikum salam. Thank you for having me on your show.
Yes, load shedding, water shedding, road shedding with potholes. We just seem to be shedding so much in this country. And let's just focus on load shedding and its impact on the water supply. And if you could just, give us a brief overview on the impact of load shedding and how this is linked to the water supply.
So the first thing to remember is that water supply and electricity are closely linked, right? Now, what happens is that you get Rand water, you've got Joburg water. Those are all the players that are involved in terms of Joburg specifically. And Rand water gets bulk water, and then they sell water to Joburg water. So they need to pump the water to Joburg water, and Joburg water needs to pump it to the reservoirs. If they don't have power, they can't pump that water, so that the reservoirs are then low. And it's through the reservoirs is where we get the water, the residents. So that is the challenge, because right now our dams are full. We know that there's a lot of water in our dams. So it's not a shortage of water as we saw previously in Cape Town, but it's actually just because they don't have the power to pump it. And you need to have consistent pumping for water. It's not the same like electricity, where you switch it on and it's working, and then you switch it off and it's off. It's water, you've got to pump it, and it takes power to get momentum to actually push the water through and get it into the reservoir.
Yes, and recently we've seen so much of that happen. In fact, right across many parts around Johannesburg, also in other parts around the country. In fact, I was on my way from Cape Town and I stopped over for the night at a little town. And the moment load shedding kicked in, there was no water whatsoever. Now, this is clearly a problem, and especially, looking at trying to recover. From the water system, and people often will tell you, we can live without electricity, but we can't live without water, and that is so common. So, just your thoughts, Dr. Ferrial Adam, on a water system on the water system actually recovering after these rolling blackouts take place.
So it does take a while to recover. And the challenge that we have at the moment is that because we're in summer, we are using a lot more water. But the blame cannot be put on residents. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that they should have made allowance for that. People in these positions at Rand Water, in Joburg Water, they know this process. They know when demand is high. They know when demand is low. Also, load shedding didn't just happen. We've been going through this for years. And the fact that we don't have backup power supply or sufficient backup uh, power supply is actually very concerning. So that's why we're finding ourselves in this situation. And it's very difficult. You get up in the morning, you have to get to a meeting, and there's no water to have a shower or to drink or to eat. And yes, some people are saying, well, now welcome to the rest of South Africa. The truth of the matter is that we have the water, we have the infrastructure, it needs to work.
Yes, and also when one looks at infrastructure in general, and we know what has happened, where we've seen in the past where infrastructure is not adequately maintained, and when we're talking about water, it is not only about drinking water; it is about water. We're talking about sanitation infrastructure, which is absolutely important. Sewer pumping stations, and at the end of the day, all of the equipment needs to be maintained so that it avoids other disasters, like for instance sewage spills, and we've seen it happen in a number of areas as well, Dr. Ferriel.
You are so right, Inayat. I mean, I think that that is exactly the thing, is that what has happened is we've got load shedding. Load shedding is affecting pumping water and getting our reservoirs full. But then when you're releasing it, you but when the power comes back on, you've had pipes that have been, dry, pipes that haven't had water in them, and then you're flushing it with a lot of water. The problem is our infrastructure is old, and both our drinking water infrastructure as well as sanitation infrastructure is completely compromised. And so this is causing pipe bursts, it's causing overflows, and is creating all other issues that we have right now. Needless to say, and I just have to say this, is that um, the municipalities have been doing poorly before this. They cannot claim that this is why there's sewage running in our rivers. They have not been able to do the basic upkeep of our infrastructure.
Yes, and also I think what is important to understand is to look at the existing infrastructure. This was not designed for a load shedding and for the problems that are created by load shedding, Dr. Ferrial.
Sorry, I missed that, Inayat. Can you just repeat it?
I'm saying, looking at the existing infrastructure at municipalities, they were not designed to recover from a load shedding because, like you mentioned, a lot of it is old. It hasn't been upgraded, and this is also the reason as to why we are having all these problems. And particularly when we are talking about recovery and whether the system has the ability to recover after a load shedding or prolonged times of load shedding.
Yeah, I think that's exactly that's why we're saying that we need to have an alternative power supply at many of these reservoirs. We need to ensure. Sorry, sorry, I got. Can you see me?
Yes, I can.
Oh, sorry. We need to ensure that not only that we have the power supply for these reservoirs and our access to our water, but we need to have alternative power supplies. We need to make sure that they're not being load shed, and that is a possibility. Why is it taking so long for those areas to be safeguarded? Because you're right. It's even after load shedding. Just think of filling a bucket. You can't just fill it, instantly. It takes a while to fill.
Well, I think we have lost Dr. Ferrial Adam, but we have got the gist of the discussion and this whole question surrounding the. Oh, there we go. Sorry, Dr.
Sorry,
Ferrial
I'm so
Adam.
sorry. I don't know if it's what's going on with my computer, but I do apologize. What I was
Well,
saying,
we can blame it on network shedding.
okay, I was just gonna say is that when you have not pumped up the reservoirs to its 100%, and people are still using the water, or the water still going out into the communities, um when you have load shedding, you can't add onto that water. You can't fill it up again, so that after load shedding, it can't just happen in an instant. It's a slow process. It's like having a leaking bucket. If there's a hole in a bucket and the water's going out to the people because they're using it, trying to fill up that bucket becomes much more difficult. So that's the challenge. Once you have power, no power to make sure that the bucket's at 100%, when it goes low down, it's harder to fill up. That is why the power is so important. But also, I just want to add one more thing that we no one seems to be talking about, and that is the quality of the water. So when you're having our pipes breaking, or the infrastructure is not working, then the challenge is you could get contamination within our water, and we don't know, but it is the reason why we are asking for our water to be tested more frequently.
Yes, I think you raise a very important point because this was an issue I was going to raise in terms of the quality of the water. And South Africa, at one point in time, we used to boast, Dr. Ferrell Adam, of having the best drinking water, straight from the tap. And this is of concern because of late we have seen contaminated water featuring more prominently. So this is a major concern right now.
It is indeed. I mean, I think that, we're talking about contamination. We're saying that there needs to be more testing. I don't think that, I mean, think of hospitals, right, where they have power cuts and they need water to clean. I mean, it's part of health. So we really need to make sure that the water is tested. We need to ensure that our reservoirs and pump stations have an alternative power supply, and we need to fix our infrastructure. Those are the three kind of things I think we need to do, in the as an urgent short and medium term kind of scenario. Having said that, I think that better planning is needed by municipalities, better planning is needed by government, and in this instant, I think that people need to be louder about their opposition, or they need to be louder about what they're going through in terms of water. Uh, we can't keep talking on WhatsApp groups. We need to get out there and actually make our voices heard. It's only when government's actually going to be doing something. And the National Department of Water and Sanitation needs to step in. The minister's been too quiet. This is something of concern. So I think that there's a whole range of things that can be done, can alleviate that. And if we see government doing things, we as people will help the situation. But we can't do anything on our own right now.
Well, Dr. Ferrial Adam, we're going to have to leave it at that. But as always, we do appreciate you taking time out and being in the company of Salam Media and unpacking what we need to unpack. Actually, these are important issues. These are critical issues that need to be discussed. And for that, we thank you. Please take care and all the best to you.
Thank you so much, Inayat. Have a great day. Assalamu
Dr.
alaikum.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Dr. Ferrial Adam with us, water and climate justice activist. We're going to go for a break and we come back. We will be talking about additional charges that could be brought against a 75-year-old Johannesburg surgeon accused with the murder of three patients.